that the use case. I wish everybody knew the client because we'd like to talk to them. I'd like to talk to them. I'm just kidding. So changing gears a little bit. We have 16 minutes left, but I wanted to talk a little bit or kind of go down the two different directions. First direction is back to you, Bikash. We'll let you be quiet long enough here. Some of the key capabilities of external attack surface management incorporated with some of the, let's tie the modules together. I'm just going to kind of go there, right? So there's the, there's the EASM component, again, recon, discovery, asset inventory, whatever the buzz is, right? Boom, that's must have, right? And that in a continuous kind of, on a continuous basis. There's also there's a lot of new acronyms out there as well. Continuous automated red teaming, CART. Continuous automated security testing, CAST, right? Automated exploitation, right? Ed talked a little bit about breach attack simulation. Key capabilities of a full end-to-end EASM solution. What are your thoughts, Bikash, on that? And then I know that I think we have some folks on the phone as well that come from the consulting world, right? That are consulting, they're doing cybersecurity consulting. Talk a little bit about how you think that a comprehensive EASM / continuous testing, package could assist in potentially helping to automate what has been, let's say, automate some of what has been a traditionally manual process. We will never, I want to make this statement, we will never get rid of the human. That is not the intent of EASM or, CART or CAST or whatever, right? It is about making the human smarter, right? It is about making the human, giving the human the ability to do the high dollar stuff. And then I'm just focusing on consulting right now, right in that world. Ed, you and and Tejas, you live in that world because you have practices that are focused on that. So making the human smarter as it relates to some of the automation and allowing them to focus on the stuff that really the client really needs, which is that repeatable process and that that continuous security architecture design or whatever it might be. So talk a little bit, Bikash, about the key capabilities of a holistic program, and then maybe some of the nuances therein from an overall market perspective.
Sure. So if you look at EASM, and these terminologies are kind of created by different groups, right? You have EASM, you have BAS, and there's some overlap there. You have ASM, which is there. Let me talk about it as broad concept, like what are the key capabilities that one should look for. So one of the primary capability is discovery, right? So discovery of assets. Now, when you look for the discovery of assets, the key things to look for is what kind of assets does it discover? Does it discover the cloud buckets? Does it discover the applications? Does it discover the APIs, the subdomains, the IP addresses, etc.? So the coverage of discovery is one of the things. The second thing is the false positives. So when you do EASM, it's a very hard problem because there are ephemeral IPs which are continuously changing on the cloud. How well can you discover those? Now, there's no perfect solution in the world today. Everybody is working towards that. But look for the false positives out there. There are, suppose, WAF IPs and CDN IPs. So those are not exactly your IPs. So how does the system discover those and appropriately tag those assets? So the coverage of asset discovery is one thing. The tagging of asset discovery by type is the second thing. The third is the false positive rate over there. And the fourth thing is also going to be the false negatives. What am I missing out? What are those assets which are out there, but the system is not able to discover? So this is one part. The other part is how frequently is the system doing it? I mean, how many times does the database get refreshed? I mean, does it get refreshed every day? Does it get refreshed every week? So that's the other part, the frequency. The quality of data source which you have, does it cover the dark web? Does it cover only the deep web, etc.? So that's another part of the critical capability. So this is more around the discovery. Now let's move to the next part, which is the active assessment. So does the system also do active assessment? Because when you just do passive discovery through banner grabbing and open source intelligence, there can be a lot of false positives. The vulnerability discovery is not going to be accurate. So does the system have the capability to run real kind of safe attacks, so, or active assessments? So that's the other. So if there are active assessment modules, what type of modules are there? Knowing those, I mean, does it cover applications or IPs, cloud, Docker container, etc., etc.? So the active assessment capability in depth is the other part which one should look into. Then the third part will be the kind of runbooks which are there. If also red teaming, as some of you have noticed, Gartner also mentioned in the EASM report that there are two kind of directions in which the EASM market is heading towards. One direction is more about the discovery, another direction is about the red teaming and the attack. So in that case, what kind of red teaming capabilities does the system have? Or the solution have? So these are some of the broad kind of capabilities one should look for while evaluating a solution. And of course, the use of this tool could be in two ways. One is like end user organizations using it. The other could be managed services, consulting companies using it. But whatever be the use, largely these are the critical capabilities. But if you are a consulting company or a managed services provider, then there are some more use cases which becomes more important. But I'm not getting into that direction in the interest of time. So that's broadly about the critical capabilities, Paul.
Thanks, Bikash. I appreciate that. So I'm going to do a time check. We have 9 minutes left. I have a couple of, I keep looking over here and I feel bad because you're seeing like my bald spot on the top of my head. I'm looking at my phone, but our lady behind the curtain, Pulami, is sending me a couple of really important questions that I'd like to have answered before we get off the phone. But before that, one kind of last point that you had mentioned earlier that I'd love to maybe get your take on, and that is the kind of the overview of the MITRE attack framework as it relates to the EASM kind of world from your perspective, because I know that, you know, those types of requirements are always kind of dangling out there. As much as we like to, as much as we don't like to admit it, it is the nature of our beast. So maybe for 3 or 4 minutes we can do that and talk about that, and then we can jump over to a couple questions.
Absolutely. So I'll try to keep this brief so we have some time to answer questions. But in my opinion, the MITRE attack framework